Not every watch deserves your hard-earned money, and some watches are so disappointing they need to be called out publicly. We are talking about watches with terrible build quality, dishonest marketing, ridiculous pricing for what you actually get, and designs that insult your intelligence. From fashion brands charging luxury prices for cheap movements to luxury brands that deliver embarrassingly poor value, these 10 watches represent everything wrong with the watch industry today. Some promise quality they never deliver, others copy designs shamelessly while cutting every corner possible, and one luxury watch costs more than a car while performing worse than watches costing 90% less. This is not about personal taste or style preferences. This is about objective failures in quality, value, and honesty. Let's count down the 10 worst watches I've ever reviewed and explain exactly why you should avoid them completely. Number 10. MVMT Classic Quartz. Starting our countdown at number 10 is the MVMT Classic Quartz, a watch that represents everything wrong with influencer marketing and Instagram brand culture. This watch proves that great marketing cannot hide terrible quality forever. The case is made from cheap alloy metal that feels lightweight and hollow compared to proper stainless steel. The mineral crystal scratches easily during normal daily wear, looking terrible after just weeks of use. The quartz movement inside is the cheapest possible Chinese mechanism with accuracy that drifts noticeably over time. The leather strap falls apart quickly with the stitching coming loose and material cracking within months. The finishing quality is terrible with rough edges, uneven surfaces, and poor attention to detail throughout. The water resistance is minimal, despite marketing suggesting you can wear it swimming. The crown operation feels cheap with loose tolerances and imprecise movement. The price point is absurdly high for what you actually receive in terms of materials and construction. This watch became popular through influencer marketing that hides the quality issues from potential buyers. The brand spent money on advertising instead of improving product quality or value. People who buy these watches are often disappointed when they realize what they actually purchased. The resale value is essentially zero, with nobody wanting used MVMT watches. The MVMT Classic represents fashion marketing over substance, charging premium prices for department store quality that insults informed watch buyers who understand actual value and craftsmanship. Number 9. Daniel Wellington Classic Petite. At number 9, we have the Daniel Wellington Classic Petite, another Instagram brand that built a company on marketing while delivering watches that barely function as timepieces. This watch proves that minimalist aesthetics cannot hide fundamental quality problems. The case is thin stamped metal that dents easily and feels flimsy compared to proper watch cases. The dial printing is low quality with fonts that look cheap and misaligned markers. The hands are stamped metal without proper finishing or loom material for night reading. The quartz movement is the absolute cheapest available with timekeeping that becomes unreliable quickly. The crystal is basic mineral glass that scratches from normal contact with surfaces. The strap is genuine leather but such poor quality that it deteriorates rapidly with normal wear. The interchangeable strap system is the only positive feature but cannot save the terrible watch underneath. The price is completely unjustified for the quality you receive. This brand became massive through influencer partnerships and social media marketing. The watches are essentially jewelry that happens to tell time rather than actual timepieces built properly. People who receive these as gifts are often disappointed by the quality. The brand recognition comes entirely from marketing spend rather than product excellence. The Daniel Wellington Classic Petite represents style over substance taken to insulting extremes, charging luxury prices for watches that would be overpriced at 1/3 the cost. Number 8. Invicta Pro Diver 8926. Coming in at number 8 is the Invicta Pro Diver 8926, a watch that shamelessly copies Rolex design while delivering quality that insults the inspiration. This watch proves that copying homework does not work when you do not understand the assignment. The case is oversized and gaudy at 40 milliliters, but feels cheap despite the size. The finish quality is poor with rough edges and inconsistent surfaces throughout. The automatic movement inside is a basic Seiko mechanism that Invicta somehow makes less reliable. The bezel action is loose and imprecise with play that makes timing anything impossible. The bracelet is terrible quality with hollow links that feel cheap and pull arm hairs constantly. The clasp is flimsy stamped metal that fails to inspire confidence. The Cyclops magnifier over the date is poorly aligned and distorts the date window. The loom application is uneven and performs poorly compared to proper dive watches. The branding is excessive with Invicta plastered everywhere possible. This watch sells based on looking vaguely like a Submariner at discount prices. The quality control is inconsistent with individual watches varying wildly in reliability. The customer service is essentially non-existent when problems inevitably occur. The Invicta Pro Diver 8926 represents shameless copying combined with poor execution that creates watches that disappoint everyone who buys them, seeking affordable Rolex alternatives. Number 7. Versace V-Race Chronograph. Sliding into number 7 is the Versace V-Race Chronograph, a fashion brand watch that charges luxury prices while delivering quality that belongs in budget territory. This watch proves that fashion brands understand clothing better than horology. The case design is busy and overdone with excessive branding and decorative elements everywhere. The chronograph complication uses basic quartz movement rather than mechanical engineering. The finishing quality is mediocre, despite the luxury brand name and pricing. The bracelet feels cheap and poorly constructed compared to actual luxury watches. The pushers for the chronograph feel mushy and imprecise during operation. The dial is cluttered with too many elements competing for attention unsuccessfully. The water resistance is minimal, despite chronograph complications that should be properly sealed. The price is completely unjustified based on the actual materials and movement inside. This watch sells based on brand recognition from fashion rather than horological merit. People who buy Versace watches are paying for branding rather than quality or craftsmanship. The movement inside costs perhaps $20 wholesale, making the markup absolutely insulting. The resale value drops dramatically the moment you leave the store. The Versace V-Race Chronograph represents fashion brands exploiting their name recognition to sell watches to people who do not understand what they are actually purchasing. Number 6. Fossil Coachman Chronograph. Breaking into the top 6 is the Fossil Coachman Chronograph, a watch that represents everything mediocre about mainstream fashion watches, wrapped in fake vintage aesthetics. This watch proves that nostalgic design cannot hide fundamental quality compromises. The case is basic stamped steel with finishing that looks acceptable from distance, but reveals poor quality up close. The chronograph movement is basic quartz that provides functionality without any soul or character. The pushers feel cheap with mushy feedback that lacks precision. The dial attempts vintage aesthetic but executes it poorly with inconsistent design elements. The leather strap is acceptable quality, but nothing special compared to aftermarket alternatives. The crystal is mineral glass that scratches easily during normal wear. The water resistance is minimal, despite the watch suggesting sporting capability. The price represents fashion markup rather than actual value of materials and construction. This watch sells to people who want affordable chronographs without understanding what makes good watches. Fossil represents the middle ground that disappoints enthusiasts while overcharging casual buyers. The build quality is just good enough to avoid complete failure, but never impressive. The movement accuracy is acceptable, but nothing to celebrate or rely upon. The Fossil Coachman Chronograph represents mediocrity made attractive through marketing to people who deserve better quality for their money. Number 5. Michael Kors Lexington Chronograph. Taking the 5th spot is the Michael Kors Lexington Chronograph, a fashion watch that perfectly demonstrates how luxury fashion brands exploit consumer ignorance about watches. This watch proves that runway success does not translate to horological competence. The case is oversized and heavy, attempting to project luxury through size rather than quality. The gold plating is thin and wears off quickly, revealing base metal underneath. The chronograph movement is basic quartz that costs perhaps $15 wholesale. The pushers are decorative rather than functional, with terrible feedback and loose tolerances. The dial is busy with excessive branding and decorative elements that serve no purpose. The bracelet is poorly constructed with stamped links that catch skin and pull arm hairs. The clasp feels cheap and fails to secure properly over time. The overall finishing is adequate from distance, but reveals poor quality upon close inspection. The price is absolutely insulting for what you actually receive in materials and construction. This watch sells based on Michael Kors brand recognition in fashion while delivering nothing in watch quality. People who buy these are paying hundreds for watches worth perhaps $30 in actual manufacturing cost. The markup is criminal when you understand what goes into actual quality watches. The Michael Kors Lexington represents fashion brand exploitation of consumer ignorance at its absolute worst. Number 4. Guess Iconic Quartz. Claiming the 4th position is the Guess Iconic Quartz, a watch that demonstrates fashion brands should stay in their lane rather than attempting watches. This watch proves that recognizable logos cannot substitute for quality or value. The case is cheap alloy metal with finishing that looks acceptable in photos but terrible in person. The dial is cluttered with logos, patterns, and decorative elements fighting for attention unsuccessfully. The quartz movement inside is the absolute cheapest available with accuracy that drifts over time. The crystal is basic plastic or mineral glass that scratches from normal daily contact. The bracelet or strap is poor quality that deteriorates quickly with regular wear. The overall construction feels cheap and lightweight, lacking substance or quality. The water resistance is essentially non-existent, despite marketing suggesting otherwise. The price is completely unjustified based on actual materials and manufacturing cost. This watch exists purely to leverage guest brand recognition for profit. The target market is people who recognize fashion brands but understand nothing about watches. The actual manufacturing cost is probably less than $10, making the markup obscene. The build quality ensures these watches fail relatively quickly, requiring replacement. The Guess iconic quartz represents fashion brand cash grabs that insult consumers while delivering essentially worthless products. Number 3. Armani Exchange AX2100. Taking the bronze medal at number 3 is the Armani Exchange AX2100, a watch that combines terrible quality with offensive pricing under a luxury brand name. This watch proves that sub-brands exist purely for profit rather than delivering value. The case is cheap stamped metal, attempting to look sophisticated while feeling hollow. The chronograph functions use basic quartz movement that costs almost nothing. The dial is busy attempting to look complicated while actually being simple and cheap. The bracelet is terrible quality with hollow links and poor clasp construction. The finishing quality is embarrassing for anything carrying Armani branding regardless of exchange designation. The overall construction feels cheap and disposable rather than lasting or valuable. The price represents pure brand markup with no justification in actual quality or materials. This watch targets people who want luxury associations without actually affording luxury quality. The manufacturing cost is probably under $20, making the retail price absolutely criminal. The movement accuracy is acceptable initially, but degrades quickly over time. The build quality ensures rapid deterioration, making these essentially disposable fashion accessories. The Armani Exchange AX2100 represents luxury brand exploitation through sub-brands that deliver terrible value while maintaining pricing through brand association alone. Number 2. Hublot Big Bang Unico. Taking the silver medal at number 2 is the shocking Hublot Big Bang Unico, a luxury watch that costs more than most cars while delivering quality and design that insults serious collectors. This watch proves that expensive does not mean good or valuable. The design is gaudy and oversized, prioritizing attention over elegance or sophistication. The case materials include exotic options, but assembly quality is inconsistent compared to similarly priced Swiss brands. The movement is in-house, but developed recently, lacking the refinement of established luxury movements. The finishing quality is acceptable, but not exceptional, despite the astronomical pricing. The rubber straps deteriorate quickly, requiring expensive replacements from Hublot. The overall aesthetic is polarizing, with most serious collectors finding it tasteless. The pricing is completely unjustified when compared to established luxury brands offering better movements. The brand is popular with celebrities and athletes, but dismissed by serious collectors. The resale value drops dramatically, showing the market understands these are overpriced. The screws visible on the bezel become loose, requiring regular maintenance. The movement decoration is basic compared to haute horlogerie at similar pricing. The Hublot Big Bang Unico represents everything wrong with modern luxury watches, prioritizing marketing and celebrity endorsements over actual horological merit or value. Number 1. Pagani Design PD Wellington 61. Finally, taking the crown at number 1 is the absolutely shameful Pagani Design PD Wellington 61, a watch that represents the absolute bottom of the watch industry. This watch proves that some products should never exist regardless of price. The entire watch is a blatant copy of Rolex Daytona with zero original design or creativity. The case is cheap stainless steel with terrible finishing, full of rough edges and inconsistent surfaces. The chronograph movement is basic Chinese mechanism with reliability issues and poor accuracy. The bezel action is terrible with excessive play and imprecise operation. The bracelet is awful quality with hollow links that feel cheap and catch arm hairs constantly. The dial printing is low quality with misaligned subdials and poor loom application. The pushers feel mushy and cheap with inconsistent feedback. The overall build quality is embarrassing with loose tolerances throughout. The crystal is mineral glass that scratches easily, looking terrible quickly. The water resistance is suspect despite claims of diving capability. The price might be low, but even at budget pricing, this represents terrible value. This watch exists purely to deceive people into thinking they are getting luxury design affordably. The shameless copying combined with terrible execution creates watches that disappoint completely. The movement reliability is so poor, these watches often fail within months. The Pagani design. PD Wixteen 61 represents absolute rock bottom in the watch industry, combining shameless copying with terrible quality that insults both the inspiration and the buyer stupid enough to purchase this garbage that should not exist in any legitimate market.